Well, good afternoon, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally, and I mean literally, does not work. So I was actually going to do a video about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Should we actually fear Fitz magic? Is there really magic there? But then we had some breaking news that defensive tackle, you know I love me some defensive tackles, Sheldon Richardson was released by the Doo-Doo Browns. Sheldon Richardson, a 6'3", about 200, listed at 290. I think he's a little bit heavier than that. Defensive tackle, frees up $12 million. Now, you guys know, as a lot of people are on the Kyle Pitts train and everything else, you know, I still say defensive line is where it's at. The Cowboys realized back in the early 2010s that if you don't get legitimate offensive linemen, because we used to bargain basement shop for offensive linemen. Let's be clear here. After the 90s, we bargained basement shop. We figured we can go to Home Depot. We can grab some guys there. We can find some guys that are off a moving truck. We can get some people from front of Walmart to plug in for the offensive line. And what happened with that was we got our quarterback, who was getting paid big bucks, killed. And they realized we got to take care of the quarterback. We need a defensive line that can neutralize defense. We dig the deep ball, and that's why we got offensive linemen. Well, if you are a scientist, okay, if you are a scientist, for every action, there's a reaction. And this just hit me, what I need to get. I don't know if you've ever seen these before, but it's like a series of balls hanging on a wire, okay? You take one ball and you swing it. That ball, boom, hits another ball, and the energy from that ball kicks the one on the end. The one in the middle stays right there. It doesn't move, but the energy keeps going back and forth, back and forth. And this is for every action, there's a reaction. If I push you, there's a force that's going to be pushing back against me. Follow what I'm saying here? So our reaction was, we know we need a better offensive line to neutralize the defensive line. Well, for every action, there's a reaction. That's where we have to realize we need to make a better defensive line to neutralize the offensive lines of other teams. And this is where the Dallas Cowboys have constantly fallen down on it. They don't believe in the defensive line. Most of the times they'll take a guy and say, well, he's a defensive end who can play, defensive tackle. And a defensive tackle, well, that's almost like a nose tackle. And we get guys that are bargain basement. You can look at what we did in free agency. And that's not to say that these guys won't be, but we've gotten guys like Christian Covingtons and things like that. We've gone through and we've got practice squad players, like David Irving. Now, David Irving ended up working pretty good, but for the most part, we don't seem to dig very deep into free agency. Sheldon Richardson, the Browns releasing him. Here's what I want you to understand. And I've pointed this out to you guys over and over again. When I say 4.5 sacks for last year, you're going to say, that's it? That's it. 4.5 sacks? Period. Yes, from the defensive tackle position. That's a lot. Because your job as a defensive tackle is to occupy space. It is to keep the linebackers clean. If you get sacks, great. If you get tackles, great. But here's what's cool. This brother last year, now I know he's 30 years old. I get that. He's older. He's higher priced. But this brother had 35 solo tackles, 5 of which were tackles for a loss, 10 quarterback hits, and 29 assists. So in other words, when people were engaging with somebody, he didn't say, oh, well, they got him, so I'm gonna protect myself. No, he jumped in to get some. He went in there to get himself some. He was going to punish those people. Wow. Here's the next thing. Last year, 16 games, 16 starts. The year before, 16 games, 15 starts. And it wasn't just a contract type of a year thing, because the year before he had 3 sacks, 62 combined tackles, 43 solo, 19 assists, and still 4 tackles for a loss. This brother has been doing damage. Oh, by the way, in the last 2 years, 4 forced fumbles and 7 pass defenses. Come on, man. Jerry Jones. Jerry. This brother would be the real deal. Now, here's the thing. I know we're cheap. Jerry Jones, he wants all that money so he can buy that yacht, maintain that sucker. Gas prices are going up, so I need to keep a spare change. Well, here's the thing. If you believe that Kyle Pitts is your guy, if you believe that's the guy we need to go for, I have no problem if you sign the Sheldon Richardson. And I know people are going to say, well, you said about Don Terry Poe. Well, Don Terry Poe had been going downhill some in things. I was just happy that we were signing somebody. But if you're talking about Sheldon Richardson versus Don Terry Poe, there's no comparison. We're talking about this is what okay. I'm sorry. I'm giddy here, okay? Here's what's amazing is people are all excited about Giovanni and Clowney signing with the Browns. Oh, my God, teaming him up. Oh, with Myles Garrett. Okay, here's the thing that's amazing. The 4.5 sacks that Sheldon Richardson had last year is 1.5 sacks more than what Clowney had over the last 2 years. You follow me on that? A defensive tackle versus an edge rusher. If we go back for the last 3 years, talking about 12 sacks. It's pretty consistent, really consistent. I'm sorry, 13 sacks. So in my mind, this would be a good free agent pickup. So back to the Jerry Jones and the money issue, because people say, well, we only have $8 million in cap room. Well, they signed for a 1-year deal, technically, Clowney for $10 million, and ended up being a $3 million cap hit because they put voidable years on it. And basically, it's a bullshit contract as far as the cap numbers. The Cowboys can do that same thing and put him in the rotation. You put Gallimore, you put Sheldon Richardson, you put Tristan Hill in that rotation like that. Randy Gregory, who now knows that he doesn't have to worry about being suspended and he's the guy, and D-Law, now you've got a front that could be scary. Come on, Jerry. We need to do this. All right, y'all. I got some more stuff I got to do. But as always, I appreciate you being here, and I'll be back with you about Ryan Fitzmagic. Is he really a magician? Or was it all done with mirrors? I'll see you guys later.